To every new subscribers, returning subscribers, listen, by the way, my name is Versatile, aka the Akibu. Don't trust the name you could trust when it comes to all things reactions. And right now, you see the title. This is part two. All right, part two. So we're gonna get straight into this, no delay of this documentary reaction. Just a disclaimer, due to copyright purposes, just like the part one, I'm unable to show you the actual footage. Um, and that's just due to copyright purposes. So it's just gonna be this image here for now from Internet Movie Database, and you can still hear me. You know what I mean? That's the main thing. You can still see my reaction, yeah. But let's just keep it moving. We are literally minute 13. Ironically, the day that was announced that Tupac um died was on September 13th. Yeah, Friday the 13th. I know that sounds mad, but those are facts. Friday the 13th, 1996. Anyway, let's just keep it moving. And then there's like his album after that is called The 7 Day Theory. Like, So I could understand the conspiracies, but forget conspiracies for now. Let's just deal with the facts. Well, let's just react to obviously this documentary first and foremost. Wrap the inside the big and Tupac. Mm, mm. Also, they say rap inside the Biggie and Tupac. All right, so let's get straight into it. No delay. Let's go. Make sure you turn on your post notifications, people, because I've got more content coming on the way. All right. So it's just loading. Let's see if I can get to minute 13. Okay, I'll just do it from here, 9 minutes in. Okay, so from minute 19, yeah. All right. Sorry, 19. From minute 9, you got Craig Kading talking about the event in regards to Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon. And obviously, it's going to be hyped up. Everyone's going to be hyped up when it comes to fight night. Everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everybody will be hyped up. So that's a natural thing. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pause every 5 to 10 minutes. All right. So just so I can get things out of the way, just to say certain things. If there are things in between, I will try and talk about it. But yeah, this is where we more or less left off. All right. Wait, this is where we were. We definitely were. This is where we left off. Yeah, because it was after this fact that Tupac. So basically, Greg Kading, the former LAPD detective, he says that it can't get any bigger for Tupac. Uh, Mike Tyson is, they listen to his music in the ring, blah blah blah. Well, you're not saying blah blah blah, but you get the point on the mix. And then he's going on to say, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, if Tupac made a song for Mike Tyson, yeah, think about this logically, yeah. Just think about this logically. The incident that took place in July of 1996. Don't you think Tupac would have made a song in regards to that incident that may have took place at Lakewood Mall? Think about it. Tupac ain't the person who's not going to say what's on his mind, especially if you're trying to, take a death row record chain from Trayvon Lane. Just saying. But anyway, let's keep it moving because we already read the transcript in the previous one, the part one, so we won't go over that again. But it's just I'm just letting you guys know that when it comes to information, You have to be very vigilant of where the information comes from, and this is the problem. Where does this information come from? I'm assuming what I'm assuming, which is Reggie Wright Jr. And there's a reason why I'm saying that, allegedly. All right. So, but we'll get into that much further on. But let's just keep it moving. Because it said the source. Source advised this. Who's the source? Why can't you not say the source? Also, bear in mind that just bear in mind, yeah, that Suge Knight is not a gang member. Tupac's not a gang member. Uh, like they're not gang members. Snoop Dogg isn't necessarily a gang member either, but they come from an area. Well, let's say Suge Knight and Snoop Dogg, they come from an area where they're gonna be affiliated with certain sectors, right? So Snoop Dogg's affiliated with the Crips. uh Suge Knight is affiliated with the Bloods. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? So if you put that into perspective, these guys work together to make money together. Let's make that make sense. And I know Snoop Dogg wants to act like he never made no money. He can say what he wants to say, but look what he's doing to his cousin. But that's for another day, for another topic. You know what I mean? Now, um, yeah. So look, when you deep everything, you need to understand certain things. Just because someone is from a certain area doesn't mean that they can't work together. I think there's the same situation. Looking, not sort of the same situation, but like the point I'm trying to make is nobody, and I literally say nobody, can argue with the fact that people can't get along to, like people cannot get along to make good moves together, make money together, whatever the case is. You can't argue with that because it's a fact. It can happen. It has happened. History was made. But let's keep it moving. Okay, see, here's the question. Yeah, I know I'm going to pause every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, but it's just that there's some things that I need to. If I've got a question, I'm going to ask it. The question I literally have right now, yeah, is how is it possible? Yeah, no, not even how is it possible. Greg Kading obviously is an ex-detective call for the LAPD. That was his job. That was his job. How did you know Trayvon Lane whispered in Tupac's ear and that triggered him to go off into fighting with Orlando Anderson? How do you know? How did you gather that information? Did you see that evidently? Or is that based on the. Because let's be honest, we only seen a few angles of the clips from the MGM Grand Hotel where, you know what I'm saying? Because that you only see those few clips, but you don't see it like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't really see it like that. You don't see that person whispering in Tupac's ear like that. Like you genuinely don't. If there's a video out there, let me know and I'll react to it. But I haven't seen it. Like I literally have not seen it. So and then the question becomes if Greg Kading knew or found out about this, how did he find out about this? And then did he speak to Trayvon Lane? Maybe we'll find out in this documentary. For my record, from my recollection of watching this documentary years ago, I don't think he's spoke to Trayvon Lane or even attempted to. Because that would be the first person to speak to. Speak to him. Speak to Trayvon. Speak to the person who whispered in Tupac's ear. Like, where is Trayvon Lane? Where is he? Because you see, when that trial happens with Keefe D, he needs to be a witness on the stand. He needs to testify. Like, he needs to testify. I don't care. Call it ratting, call it snitching. I don't care. He needs to testify. Otherwise, if you don't testify, that just shows that you're complicit. That means you were used as a pawn to create this narrative that, oh, this is why this happened and this happened. But let's keep it moving. Unbeknownst to them, no, they knew it. Come on. The security did nothing. No, wait, time out. The security did nothing. I know the images could be a bit blurry for the CCTV back then, yeah, but I swear to you, the security did nothing. Only one of them most probably was called in and say there's an incident, blah blah blah. Fair enough. That's what they can do. That's all they can do. But you don't see none of them trying to. I swear you don't see none of them trying to pull any like Tupac off or anyone else off. Like, you don't see it. Like, you literally don't see it. Which is very strange to me. Very, 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 very strange. Like, very strange. But let's keep it moving. Where's Trayvon Lane in this, though? No. Where's okay? Wait. I have questions. I have another question. Where is Trayvon Lane in this? We obviously see Suge Knight walking. Do you know what I mean? With Tupac, we can evidently see that, right? Like, I mean, he's hard. Like, you can't miss him. He's there. So, but where's Trayvon Lane? Because why would he whisper in Tupac's ear, knowing he would potentially do what he did to Orlando Anderson? Why couldn't you fight that fight? Or did you fight that fight? Otherwise, you're a coward. That's like running to that's like running to your big bro and be like, bro, they beat me up. They took my stuff. They took my chain. They took my sneakers. Can you go get it back for me, please? You know them ways there. Like, no, if you're a little sibling, you understand it is what it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to get your big brother, and it is what it is. But like, other than that, all jokes aside, though, yeah, like, where's Trayvon Lane in this? And why didn't Greg Kading mention that Trayvon Lane is also there walking at pace with Suge Knight and Tupac? Why? Why was his name not mentioned? Or was he there? These are the questions I have. Can anyone answer those questions for me, please, in the comments below? Do you know what I mean? Or maybe it would be mentioned in Greg Kading's book, yeah, titled the same as the documentary. The link is going to be in the pinned comment, so make sure you go purchase your copy. Yes, I do get a small portion, but listen, bills got to get paid. You know how it go. You know what I'm saying? Man's got to get paid, innit? Got bills to pay. You hear me? I got bills to pay. Like, bills to pay. Bills to anyway. Let's go. Hmm. Okay, I don't like this. No, I don't like this narrator. I don't like this narrator. I don't like his narrator. Like, um, listen, to say Tupac wasn't a real gangster, but he just picked a uh fight with a real gang member. No, I don't like that narrative that someone's trying to the person trying to spin, because it's not even like that. Again, what did they whisper? What did Trayvon Lane, if it is true, what did he whisper that set Tupac off? What did he whisper in his ear that set Tupac off to go stomp out Orlando Anderson? Like, what did he whisper in his ear? Because you can't say he started it, because he didn't start it. This is the whole thing. Like, think about it logically, yeah. Like, he did not start it. So how is you saying, oh, we just start? You're not a real gangster. He didn't start. Do you know what I mean? And aside from that, Tupac is always, not always, but like he's been rowdy anyway. Do you understand? He's had fights before. This ain't his first. This was not his first time. Do you not understand? People need to understand. It doesn't matter whether the person was a gangster or not. Do you know what I mean? A gangster or not? What does that even mean, gangster? What does that even mean? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the whole point I'm asking, the only reason I'm asking these questions here is because this is where we'll eventually get the answer and the real truth to what really happened. You understand? Because let's be real here, there's clearly more to it. Because if Trayvon Lane whispered in his ear, then didn't Lane start it? Okay, then if he didn't whisper in his ear, who threw the first punch? Who knocked over Orlando Anderson for him to get stomped out? Do the maths, do the English, do the science. Do you know what I mean? Don't do just foundation, do intermediate, do advanced. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Also, another question I have: Kadada Jones. Why have we not really heard from her? Or has she spoken ever since? Leave the answer in the comment section below. Because did did she confirm that Tupac went to the hotel after and let him and let what am I trying to ask? Did did she confirm that Tupac didn't want her around where they were going to next because he just got into a fight and blah blah blah? Is that the case? Let me know in the comments below, because I think 6 months later she was seen at the party with um in LA. All right, fair enough. The Vibe party was, I mean, her dad owns that, so it's unavoidable, really and truly. Because if your dad owns it, your dad owns it. Your dad wants you to be there. Your dad wants you to be there. All right. Um. So, all right, that's one thing. But like, was she anyway? I heard she was cozied up with Diddy around that stage. Quite questionable. Quite questionable. But we move. Top the cap. We know uh, Mike Tyson doesn't go to clubs after a fight. We know this already. Don't ever do that again. Don't lie on it. Okay, they'll pull over the police. Okay, Shalene Turner, a witness apparently. Okay, hold on. We're gonna here. All right, we're gonna. What we're gonna do? We have to analyze this deeply, yeah. Because to me, this sound like a setup. I'm not saying these girls were part of the setup. I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm not saying that. But it's not far fetched to believe that. Okay, no, let's rephrase this. I'm not saying they're part of the setup, but let's ask this question. Yeah, we're gonna rewind it. We're gonna rewind it from here, and then we're gonna talk about. We're gonna read the captions properly and just understand this for a moment, right? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. All right. So watch. So hold on. Here we go. You want to watch one or two podcasts will consistently fixed vehicles. Yeah. As the current making its way towards 662 Club on the Baker Street. Trip now has the music blasting. Tupac has a passenger seat. They're having a great time making it traffic. Okay. Okay. All right. Suge Knight is pulled over by the police for having music too loud. I'm going to have to pause it every so often so I won't sound like I'm muffling my words. So just to get that clear then. So just to make things clear, the police stopped them for playing their music too loud. Basically, because it's illegal to play music loud in Las Vegas at night, I guess. So the question is, they pulled them over for how long? Who were the officers that pulled them over? And where are they now? Are they retired? Where are they now? Again, I'm not saying they're part of the setup. I'm just asking a question. Where are they now? How many people did they stop that night? Do they have a record of events of what happened that night? Just a question. How long have they been in service? It's just a question. Like it's just like I'm just asking a question. That's all. Allow me in it. I'm just asking a question. Like, but let's keep it moving. Hold on, give me a second. So two girls basically recognized Suge Knight And basically, long story short, they decide to follow the caravan. So, because they were like, she was like, they're shook. So that's Shaylin Turner. So this is a police interview. Um, and there were police cars, and they were the police were going through his car or something or another. Okay, okay. And then the traffic was stopped, and then they got in the car. Could you see who was with Shug? That's what the police was asking. They said, Yeah, I swear it was Tupac." And then he was like, "Come on, come go with me. Come go with us. We're going to 662." I should and just deep this for a minute, play by play. As Shug is pulling away, the girls fall. This is on Las Vegas Boulevard, yeah? They're falling behind him, cutting off his security. Now, why would you want to do that? Maybe they didn't know it was a security, or maybe they did, or maybe they didn't. But why would you make why? You see, anyway, and these guys pulled up and was like, "Let us in front of you." Lauren said, "That's it. That's the that's the Lauren said, "That's the security. You have to let them in front." You see, all right, cool. There you go. The caravan continues down Las Vegas Boulevard until they reach Flamingo, where they turn toward the club. So Ingrid, I believe that's her name, or is it Shaylin? I don't know which one's which one. But it goes. She goes. We were kind of arguing about it because I was like, "We're this big entourage with all these people," and I was like, "This isn't really us. We're not entourage or groupie kind of girls." But here's the thing here: if you see this there, why is this other woman looking at her, and I could be wrong, I'm just looking at the body language of it all. Why is she looking at her like, you better say the right thing, you better not mess up? Because if you mess up, I will have to correct the conversation, the events that may have happened. That's what that looks like. And I know I just paused it, yeah, but like, again, I'm just asking questions. And like I said, I'm not saying they're part of the setup, but I'm just asking a question. All right. So let's keep it moving. And yeah, see, and then her response was the one that's with that body language, like she like, it's not our scene, and the other was like, yeah, it's not our scene, it's not our scene at all. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, we'll go. I know where the club is at. We'll go. Yeah, we'll go check it out. And they reach the intersection of Flamingo and Koval. The girls, the girls decide to get out of the caravan and go to the club ahead of them. They come to a stop just in front and in the right of Shug's car. And as soon as we pulled past them, that's when all hell broke loose. And now this is where they say a white newer model 4-door Cadillac eases up. How do you know it's white? Well, sorry, my bad. How do you know it's a new a Cadillac? How do you know? It's different if you're a witness and you can see the car, but how do you know specifically that it's a Cadillac? How do you know it's a four-door, let alone, do you know what I mean? How do you know? How do you know it's a newer model? How do you know? Like, how do you know? Again, I'm just asking the questions. Who gave this information and why? Was it the girls that gave the information based on what they saw? If that's the case, that's what they saw. And I'm not saying they don't know the car. Do you know what I mean? Because that would be wrong for me to say because I wasn't there. They were. But my question is, how do you know? So basically, the car is up alongside Suge's BMW, just outside of where Tupac is seated. And then now Greg Kading is re he's basically saying what he thinks exactly what happened based on probably on statements or whatever the case is. Because I think was it Young Gaddafi? He did mention that a male arm from the back of the vehicle came out. Do you know what I mean? That's what he could witness or something like that. I can't remember verbatim, but yeah. So it says a male in the back of the Cadillac leaned across and discharged the firearm 9 times, hitting Tupac 4 times. The girls who are stopped, hold on. The girls who are stopped in front of Suge, the right of the Suge hear the shots ring out. Now this them not saying that they said they're the ones that said it was a white Cadillac. So one that says, I remember it was a white Cadillac around the woman was like, and oh, sorry, I remember it was a white Cadillac, and the woman was like, and then no, this is the woman. This is like, oh, she thought that was Tupac. That was Tupac. I know he got shot. I know he got shot. Instinctively, they try to pull away from the situation. As they're doing that, white Cadillac is also running forward. The two vehicles almost collide. Both vehicles that make a right in corridor. So Frank Alexander's body is the bodyguard of Tupac. He jumps out of the vehicles and that he is in and runs up and tries to render aid. Suge immediately pulls away and does a U-turn, effectively leaving leaving Frank Alexander standing there alone in the middle of the street. Okay, I can see how that looks. Yeah, I need to let me do this again and just pause this every 5-10 minutes because there's a lot there's a lot here. There's a lot. Um, and I'm looking at the time and it's like raw already. But anyway, so to cut a long story short, yeah, there's still questions because some people be like, why did Shook pull away? Well, first of all, instinct is instinct, right? Someone clearly is like if you go that way, there's no telling if they're gonna turn back and they're gonna try and continue. You just never know. You just never know, right? And also, people forget, yeah, Suge Knight was also hitting the back of his head. So he's not, I'm not going to say he's not 100% there, but I don't know. I don't know. He was grazed in the back of his head. Well, he, like to say, got a bullet lodged in his head, but I don't know. But anyway, that aside, we have to understand just because he left Frank Alexander out there trying to render aid, I know it looks mad, but it's like, what do you do in those situations? Everything is just instinctive at that point. You understand? There's no plan in their head of, or even if there was a plan ahead, sometimes all that plan goes out the window. it goes out the window. But let's keep it moving. Right. So obviously, Tupac was transferred to hospital, and then obviously fought for his life for 6 days there. But you know what's annoying about this whole case? This I'm just left with questions. Here's why I'm left with questions, because no way did they say, oh, the FBI was following them, or do you know what I mean? At this time, no one, Greg Kading hasn't mentioned that yet. And if he doesn't mention this in his documentary, that's very telling. However, I will say this though. I believe Kevin Hackey was an FBI informant. He didn't work for the FBI like that, but he was an FBI informant. Now, he was trying to bring down Suge Knight, I believe, allegedly. So you make that of you will. It's supposed to be because it's like the FBI have been watching Suge Knight since the inception of Death Row, I believe, maybe a year after or maybe 93, 94. I can't even remember the exact year. But even then, that timeline could be completely wrong, and it could be that could be said because they were, you know what I mean? That you don't even know. They could say that so you could be thrown off to make it not look like they didn't really start watching until Tupac came into question onto that label, and then that's when they started to. Yeah, like there's bare questions to ask, but that sounds like conspiracy, in it. So forget conspiracy for now. You know what I mean? But let's just focus on what these potential facts are. So we know. Again, the question is, how did the Cadillac get away? And are you telling me there's no like? Are you telling me there's no CCTV footage? Even if it's a car just passing by a car park or a hotel or something. I don't know, like something don't add up to me. It just doesn't. But let's keep it moving. Okay, there you go. Okay, you see how I was talking about how Kevin Hackey was an FBI informant? It's literally in this documentary. I watched this year. They said Kevin Hackey went to the hospital, was in hysterics, or whatever the case may be, and basically he said an agent there to investigate the case. I don't know if he meant this case, but he said the media was positioned outside the hospital and could provide bad press for both Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, the Compton Police Department, or Compton Unified School District Police and UMC. I then asked this individual, who still had not identified himself, to step inside the hospital corridor. At that time, this individual stepped inside. I then explained to him the severity of what was going on. I explained to him that we were here because of potential of any violence or any safety issues that might possibly occur. There are concerns that our concern is that no one is harmed to be harmed due to the shooting that had occurred. Reference Tupac Shakur. Look at this for Tupac's name. Tupak. Wild. Um, that whole That's our sole purpose, was to provide safety and security for the individuals working in the hospital and for the patients. So they were doing their job. Like, who are you, bruv? Like, who are you? For real, like, who are you? Step away from the building, bruh. But step, like, who the are you, bruh? Hear me? Well, you want to be in hysterics. No, for real, like, it's such a mad situation when you deep everything, man. Anyway, sorry to do something quick. All right, so I further explained to this individual that he has identified himself as both an FBI agent and security. Why didn't you just say that from the very first minute? Just say you're from Right Way Security, work, and that is an affiliation with Death Row Records. I'm here on business. I'm here to protect my client. Why didn't you just say that? Like, why did you not just say that from the first place? That alone makes him seem very, very suspicious to me. Very suspicious. Very, very suspicious. Leave your answer in the comment section below if you believe that Kevin Hackey is suspicious, is a suspect in this case as well. No disrespect. I'm just saying that based on events. Anyway, and he had failed to identify himself to other police officer, and that he is now acting in the official capacity of the police officer due to the way he had identified himself verbally. I explained to him that if he is a friend of the families or is here on official police business or whatever his purpose was, that he needs to come clean and tell us what exactly is here for so that we can resolve this problem. At that time, this individual handed me a Compton Unified School District. Doesn't say it properly, but yeah. Let's see what else it says. I then advised Mr. Hackey that the purpose of the medical staff here is at the hospital to provide best care for Tupac. Okay, I read that. Where was it? Okay. I said I advised Mr. Bahaki that the purpose of medical staff here at the hospital was to provide the best possible care for Tupac, and the purpose of security here for the hospital to provide the security so that there's no harm done to anyone or the patients. The reason that we, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, were on the scene was because that was not possible due to this. The reason that we, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, were on the scene was because that was not possible due to the disruption and what had occurred at the hospital. That doesn't sound right. Wait. I had then advised Mr. Hackey that the purpose of the medical staff here at the hospital was to provide the best possible care for Tupac, and the purpose of security here at the hospital is to provide security so that there's no harm done to anyone or the patients. The reason that we, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, were on the scene was because that was not possible due to disruption and we had occurred at the hospital. Okay. My bad. I then spoke with the UMC head of security, Mr. Mike Parker, and would ask what he would like done. Reference Mr. Hackey. Mr. Parker stated that he would be allowed to stay on the property up until the hour of night 2100 hours this date, and that he would be asked to leave the hospital and not return any time at any other time. That he was very dissatisfied and with that, and had occurred, and the commotion that Mr. Hackey had caused were at the hospital. You see all of this situation that they're talking about, yeah? Is there CCTV footage of this? Because it's one thing to say this, you know what I mean? Not to come in the defense of Kevin Hackey, but it's one thing to say this, but it's another thing to actually see the footage and be like, oh wow. he really was causing a commotion. Even if you can't hear the words, but like if you could see that they're causing a commotion, then alright, cool. Get him out of here. You know what I'm saying? Get him out of here. Um, I was still unable to confirm that Mr. Caffrey was in fact a police officer, and at that time I contacted Constant Unified School District Police at PH3. Okay, they called the phone number, and I spoke to the dispatcher at a number. I asked the dispatcher if he could have a supervisor contact me. The dispatcher stated that she would have Sergeant Nelson contact me later. When Sergeant Nelson returned to the office, approximately 30 minutes later, I received a phone from the Chief of Police of the Compton University District Police, Michael Nunez. I explained to Michael Nunez, hold up. Greg Kading is literally stated word for word, Haki will play a major role in some of the big conspiracy theories. We don't want conspiracy theories. We only want facts. All right. We only want to know facts. Again, so the question in this case is, did he or did he not? No. Is there CCTV footage of him in the hospital causing a commotion? Release that footage. Release that footage. Let's see it. If he is, then that means just based on how he was reacting or acting is very suspicious. I mean, he worked for Right Way Security, right? Guess who owns Right Way Security? Reggie Wright Jr. Now, keep that name, keep that name, keep that name in mind, all right? Because listen, you have to ask the questions. You have to let things realize, okay, now that adds up. Let's go. Okay, so Kevin Hackey claimed to have seen everything or heard everything, but when he came to testify, apparently, this is exactly it. He says, one of them, Kevin Hackey, has told the Los Angeles Times that he suffers from severe memory lapses resulting from medication prescribed for stress condition. Yeah? Ninja, what? How convenient? How convenient. And then you're an FBI informant as well. Hmm. Do you see what I You see what I said earlier when I said when it comes to the FBI's alleged involvement, and I'm saying alleged, it's like okay, we know that Kevin Hackett. This is probably going to be for another day for another topic, but we know that he's in a situation where he has to be in control of seeing what's happening with the whole Suge Knight situation and blah blah blah. Yeah, but I said that could be used as a coy to be able to get into the situation where making people believe it's that when really and truly they started following from when Tupac was there. Just saying. But anyway, Tupac and Marshall on the 30th of September. Mad. Wait. Wait. Bear in mind that they're saying this is what the narrator is literally saying. He literally said that with Tupac um situation with that loss, Suge Knight didn't. Most people weren't cooperating, but aside from that, most people assumed that Orlando Anderson had something to do with it. But hang on, time out for a moment. If you're old enough to understand and you was there, did you believe, not there as in Las Vegas or anything, but I'm talking about of age to really have a clear understanding. Did you believe that Orlando Anderson was involved? Did you even know who Orlando Anderson was? I'm asking these questions, yeah, because I'm like, there's something that doesn't quite add up. Do you know what I mean? And yes, the police are supposed to investigate. And yes, you can only go as far as investigation based on certain leads, and but if people are not cooperating for whatever reason, then you have to be a good detective to be able to find the evidence. Once you find the evidence, then you can actually build your case. Is that not a fair statement to make? But let's keep it moving. Can't just say it's because they're not cooperating. Come on, man, do your job. Oh yeah, Sugar Knight got invited his parole and was sent to prison for 5 years. Okay, so now they're narrating and saying this. How, how the amount of time I'm gonna be pausing this is mad because it's like I'm trying to figure out certain things. So, all right, this is what I want to keep it as simple as this. Yeah, I'll mention it briefly, and if I get back to it and I pause it, I'll get back to it. If I don't, I don't. All right, so they meet up. The mob Parus allegedly meet up in the park the next day, on 14th of September, to discuss the situation, and they in regards to the Crips situation allegedly. But who said this information and why? Who was there? Like, who was there? You know what I mean? Like, who was there to tell that information? How do you know? Allegedly, a gang war occurred. Okay, so Greg Kading again, again with his misinformation. But I'm talking about in a minute. So now talking about the Soul Train Award, I believe it is. Okay, okay, we got to talk about this. This guy is trying to paint a narrative. Okay, so Biggie spoke to his mum on that night, saying LA cops were protecting him. Okay, yeah, there's things we got to address here. But this is mad. Okay, so look, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So the LAPD was called because the crowd was getting too big and fire marshals came to shut down the whole event. Um, but there was many people there. The Wayans brothers, well, some of them. Let's just say that because we don't know all of them was there. Missy Elliott was there. You could evidently see there's a video of her, Missy Elliott dancing. Evidently see her. Um, who else was there? But anyway, forget all who else was there. What matters is what I've got questions is in regards to the Soul Train Awards. Yeah, that's one thing, right? So there's a mention of the situation between the Fruit of Islam and Babwa Entertainment, right? Now, one thing that is 100% accurate is that Mustafa, who happens to be the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's son, he clarifies. I mean, so he softens the altercation that was potentially going to happen. Yeah. Now I don't know who the other person was or other groups were. They tried to say it's the Fruit of Islam, but I doubt that very much. But I could be wrong. But I would like to hear Mustafa speak on that. These are the things when it comes to documentaries. I feel like if the person is available to speak, they should be able to speak. If you can't get them to speak in a documentary, then just say you put a question out. Same way with the documentary, the Sean Combs, The Reckoning documentary, where they asked um they asked who did they ask? They asked Janice Combs to speak, and she declined. It's the same thing. So if they decline, they decline, isn't it? There's nothing else that one can do other than say they declined. But that's the narrative that was that. You know what I'm saying? But one other thing, they mentioned about the mob Pyrus and yeah, the gang war as well. Can if you were there at that time, can you confirm was there a gang war? Let's be real. Leave your answer in the comment section below. Now, here's the other thing. Bear in mind, like I said, LAPD came to shut down the party that was happening, and there's known gang members that was there allegedly. But which gang members? How do you know? How do you know that there was gang members there? And then how do you know that a conversation happened between Biggie and his mom, and Biggie said he felt safe? How do you know that? Did Vanilla Wallace confirm that? Do you chew on trying to say? But let's keep it moving now. He felt safe and an LAPD protecting him. Come on, man. Okay, we got to read this. So this is a statement, inscriptions, caliber revolver. Anyway, I think that's the weapon that he was. Yeah, mad reading this. So approximately 0500 hours. No, that's not 0500 hours. That's like 12 o'clock in that 12 o'clock. 5 minutes past 12 in the morning. Uh, a revolver caliber of shots was fired. Fire department of Russia was broadcast with description of a M black. I can't see the rest of it because it's not zoomed out. I mean, it's very zoomed in. Zoomed in. It's very zoomed out, so I can't read that fully. Um, says suspicion black something of Orange Grove Avenue approximately 30 minutes later. In fact, no, wait, hang on. These are important information. Don't know what it says there. It says something with a LIC plate. LIC plate. Bear this in mind. This is how I know, yeah, none of this can be unresolved. I don't care what nobody says. None of this can be unresolved. Because if this information is here, why can't they find who did it? So it says LIC plate of, and they put the plate number there, but it's blurred out. Why is it blurred out? Why can't we see it? Anyway, Inc. 00300 suspects of Orange Grove Avenue, approximately 30 minutes later. at the location resulting in homicide. All right, let's continue. Yeah, Blackfoot Bronco fleeing. Okay, see, Greg Kading said they would later believe it's part of a diversion that later resulted in, Biggie's unfortunate situation. Now, compare that to the girls. Like I said, I'm not saying that they're set up chicks or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But if they are, they are. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, doesn't that seem very reminiscent? Very reminiscent. That's not a coincidence. The only difference is like, yeah, the only difference is the girls are not in that car. That car was more of a diversion. That's what it looked like. But I could be wrong. Let's go. Okay, now they're talking about Eugene Dill. Yeah, Gene Dill. Like he's So we're gonna react to his documentary as well because I think that's gonna be a lot more clearer in regards to what potentially may or may have not happened in regards to Biggie. But yeah, let's go. I turn that corner. He's right there. That's this guy. First against of Islam. He had blue suit on, white shirt, blue bow tie, black guy. And and that sounds very reminiscent of 1994 in Quash Cheetos. Hear me out. Just hear me out for a second. The person that um how do I put this into words? So basically, the person that shot at Tupac in 1994, although yes, he believes Puffy set him up, um, the person who pulled the trigger and other people that were there with the person that pulled the trigger were dressed in like well, I forgot what they called it now. What do they call it? Um, they dressed like they're part of the army. If that makes sense. I forgot fatigues. That's what they call them. Fatigues. So when you think about it, the fatigues was associated with King Tut. This is why it was believed to have been King Tut that was the one that pulled the trigger, or it was one of his guys that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, hear me out. There's an interview, which we will react to another time, that the person who was with Tupac, yeah, I think at that time he was Tupac's sister's boyfriend at the time. I can't remember verbatim, but this is key here. He literally details what he saw, what he witnessed, right? So if we can get to that, we'll react to that. But so make sure you stay subscribed for that. And it's so mad, yeah, because it's like it makes you realize, yeah, that it's not far fetched to believe that someone would create an incident and pin it on someone else. It's not far fetched to believe. It's not that far fetched. That's what that sounds for Biggie's case situation as well, because the Nation of Islam, they wouldn't do that. Let's be real. If you understand who the Nation of Islam is and the fruit of Islam are, you know they wouldn't do that. You know they wouldn't. You know they wouldn't. Okay, now we got to read. This is magic. Okay, wait. We're gonna have to go back, go to this bit by bit, like we were analyzing the first one, Tupac situation. In the first one, a green suburban, Buffy Collins was in the front passenger seat. In the back with three bodyguards, including Jimmy Deal, with accessories by Money Young. Biggie was in the front passenger seat, and then he's back in the back was his cousin or Caesar. They're not family like that, apparently. But anyway, we keep it moving. I mean, yeah, let's say little Caesar and two others. And the third and last SUV was a black Chevy Blazer. It was driven by an Inglewood School police officer named Reggie Bladdock. Laylock. The passenger seat was bad boy head of security Paul Ford. As the first SUV with Puffy is pulling away, they're looking over. They're looking over their shoulders, waiting for Biggie to finish loading into his Suburban. Meanwhile, the third SUV is in the street, behind Biggie, blocking traffic so he can pull out. As Biggie is ready to go, Puffy's vehicle accelerates northbound to make the light at Wilshire. Biggie's vehicles attempting to catch up, and the security team in the third vehicle is jumping into their Blazer. At that moment, a white SUV pulls in front of the third SUV, momentarily cutting off security from Biggie's vehicle in front of them. Like, pay attention to all these key details. Yeah. The driver of the third SUV lunges his vehicle forward, cutting the white SUV out of the caravan. A lot of people would later theorize that the white SUV was involved in the shooting. Now, we still need to go by the other things that need to go by, but again, doesn't everything so far seem like it's in parallel to what happened in Vegas with Tupac? I'm just saying, because there's no such thing as a coincidence. I mean, sometimes there are, but in this case, you can't really call it a coincidence. This is too calculated, like way too calculated, way too calculated. As this is happening, a darker, newer model Chevy Impala pulls up beside Biggie's vehicle, and the driver begins firing into Biggie's door. The shooter was described as an African American male. He was seen holding a semi-automatic pistol across. It's funny, they're showing the picture of someone, although their face is blurred out, that person looked like a Caucasian male. That's what that looks like, or at least a Caucasian. But black people can be very light too, and because anyway, but that's neither here or there. But anyway, and it's a police reenactment as well. The photo showing the irony, so that goes to show you they must have been light skinned. And even in this picture of reenactment, you can literally see this person is Caucasian, bruh. Anyway, it says he's bodied with his left hand on the steering wheel. How do you know this information? How do you know where he's positioned? As in, like, how do you know it was his left hand on the steering wheel and he's shooting from another hand. How do you know that? I mean, forensic scientists can do their magic when they do the research, so understandable, but how do you know this information? After firing his weapon, the shooter makes a quick right into Wilshire Boulevard. That sounds very familiar. Huh. Anyway, just like the Tupac situation. As soon as they done firing, they go off into the next boulevard or the next corner, whichever, or next road, whichever you want to call it. Sounds very, very sameish. I don't. Anyway, the security team and the Blazer attempt to give chase, but the Impala gets away. Meanwhile, Biggie's vehicle has come to a stop, and and made a Puffy's vehicle made a U-turn and rushed back to see what has happened. Puffy runs to Biggie's door and recognizes that Biggie's been shot. He opens the door, but Biggie's unresponsive. All right, I'm just going to pause for just to. Okay, no, I paused in a minute. Hold on. So basically, he was shot at 4 times. He was shot in the lung. Guess who else was shot in the lung? Tupac. Same upward trajectory. I need to see the autopsy properly to really understand and compare the two. But it's very eerie how some things are just a shame. And that had to be a professional hit. And if you hear all the knocking, don't worry about that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I can't control if people are making noise in the background. Do you understand? If they want to make up noise, that's on them. You get me? And whether they do it intentionally or not, that's on them. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if it's intentional, you know what I mean? They will get their karma, that's for certain. Just like whoever's involved in the situation with Big and Tupac, oh, they're getting their karma. They're getting their karma. Anyway, let's keep moving now. Yeah, the album sold over. Okay, now that we know that Biggie allegedly paid for his own funeral out of the recruitment of his music, and the album sold over 10 million units. There are 10 million copies in the United States, and the album was released 1 week after his funeral. And the name of the album wasn't initially called Life After. You know what I'm saying? But I wonder what it was called before. I'm still curious to know. Like I'm still curious to know. But then the image of the album cover is very eerie as well. It's very eerie. Like when you deep it. Because it's a hearse. So I want to know, when was this taken? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, Kelly Keeper's the investigation, and then Detective Russell Poole ended up being in the game, and there was police corruption in red parts. Right now, this is where it becomes very interesting. So Russell Poole, um, we're going to have to get into his situation into another documentary. This is that before this documentary, and basically like years before, maybe like a decade or more, or yeah, just about a decade. Is it a decade? I can't remember. I need to double check the timeline. But um, he feels like Suge Knight was the one that was involved with the situation in regards to Biggie. That's where that came from. But he's from the LAPD, which is known for police corruption, and that's where the Rodney King, that situation, the LA riots. What sparked the LA riots was the Rodney King beating by the police brutality. That's what sparked that. But you know the irony of that? Tupac was there at one point, in one of the riots, like him, and I think who else was there? I can't remember, but some other rapper mentioned it. But yeah, so it's mad. But now they're mentioning David Mack and Amir Mohammed. David Mack is a former police as well. Um, but let's just keep it moving. Let's go. Let's see what they've got to say. Because for Russell Poole to say that, and knowing he comes from the LAPD, of course they want to say that it's Suge Knight. But then why is Suge Knight arrested for it? Or what? Because of the corruption inside the LAPD. Let's make this make sense. Like, make it make sense. Because think about it, if Suge Knight had that much power, I guarantee you he would not be in jail. Man got put in jail because he violated his probation. You do the maths. Like if you violate your your probation, you're gonna have to go back in jail, right? But if you violated his probation and he had that much connection and that much power with the LAPD, I'm sure they will be able to pull some strings. I'm sure they should be able to pull some strings. Just saying. Okay, 1999 he retired from sports. Okay, so Miss Wallace also files a lawsuit based on they're saying it's based on the theory, but how do you know? Based on the theory of Russell Poole, but how do you know? Did Suge Knight, sorry, not Suge Knight, did Miss Wallace, did she ever say that? This is what I don't understand. How are you trying to speak for someone's mind if they're not speaking for themselves? Do you understand? And they're trying to say, oh, because he believed there was police corruption and they're trying to cover it up. I mean, two things could be true. There is police corruption and they're trying to cover it up. But what they're trying to cover up is trying to cover up the cover up of the whole situation. So it's like, how do I explain it? You know, when you've got let me use this for example. I've got this paper in my hand. Yeah, let me see what this is. I've got this receipt in my hand, right? Now, think about it this way. Yeah. If I was to turn my hand over, and obviously, you've obviously seen what I've done, right? Now, if I open my hand, guess what? The receipt, the paper isn't here. There's nothing in here. That's what it is. It's basically covering up a cover up. That's what that is. So, as much as Russell Paul is correct, there is police corruption and police may have involvement. It's more of it's a deterrent to say police are involved, but it's this police that's connected to this guy. But if he's connected to that guy, why was he still put in jail? Why was he serving like 5 years for provoking his for violating his probation because of the incident that happened in '96? Think about that for a moment. Okay, so we're going to rewind that because we've got to go exactly what Greg Kading is saying right here, right now. All right, this. Remember, I said it. I more or less said this in part one. I said this in part one about Fernando Wallace. This is why I said it's important to give you more context. Yeah, Fernando Wallace filed a lawsuit. They're trying to say it's based on Russell Paul's theory that LA police was involved. It's not a theory if you're. Do you understand? She's not gonna get settlement of like 1.1 million pound, sorry, dollars, if it's just a theory. Do you understand? She's not gonna fight again because she wants justice. She's not gonna. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because if it's just a theory, why would she file? Make it make sense. Anyway, let's based on this spirit, Biggie mother and the state filed a lawsuit. So basically, filed a lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles and the LAPD. So the wrongful by lawsuit would wind in its way through the courts for years, right? This is Craig Cato talking now, right? He said that at one pre-trial hearing, the judge indicated that if the LA City, if the LA City were to lose the lawsuit, the damages could be as much as $400 million, which is biggest smallest estimated lifetime earnings value. Now, let's do the maths. Greg Kading, ex LAPD detective, he also made a book, just like Russell Paul. He also is part of a documentary. This is the first documentary that he was in. Now, let's make it make sense. The timeline of everything. I'm just saying, all right? I'm literally just saying. If you want full details of the what went down and Craig Kading's thoughts and anything, the link to his book is going to be in the pinned comments. I recommend you go check that out. Go get your copy. I'll get a small commission from it, but it is what it is. But yeah, man, let's keep it moving on. Again, Craig Kading speaking with a $400 million lawsuit looming over. over their head. They now need to solve this case. Why did he look so guilty? So it was just the way he's like, they now need to look. I don't know, explain it. You know when you can see someone's got something to hide? I don't know. Yeah, that's just the thought I've got from this. That anyway, let's go. Okay, so basically, he was called to look into this case, cocaine, and I was talking about his situation. Now I'm talking about his experience as if he's doing a job interview. Um, yeah. Okay, so the FBI got involved and DEA. Okay, so now they're talking about games. It was I'll talk about some minute. How good you missed that. I just want to get. I just want to get the summary of this. Okay. All right. So just to summarize this part here, yeah. All right. There's a lot. There's a lot to say here. So I just literally forgot his name. So his name is Gaines. But he was also the police, LAPD, but allegedly had connection to Suge Knight. But he also not only had a connection to Suge Knight, he was dating Suge Knight's ex wife at the time, Sharifa. Um, and anyway, he was found alleged. Well, he was found unalive due to alleged road rage, apparently. Yeah. Um, then they talked about how David Mack also was LAPD, but also working for Suge Knight. And so in his house, they found like he robbed a bank. He got caught robbing a bank. I think over 722,000 dollars. and with that, he basically lost. No, yeah, I think he's lost his freedom in that. I believe I can't remember the full story in regards to that, but he, yeah, either way, he got caught. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, and which is mad because you're police, but you're robbing a bank. Why? What do you need that money for? That's the other thing. What do you need that money for? Because 7,000, if you think about it, that's not too far off from $1 million. It's not too far off. You see where I'm going with this. Anyway, so the next thing is okay. What about the situation where they mentioned that he got a shrine to for Tupac in his house? David Mack, I'm talking about, and he's got a red crimson suit, and they tried to say that because affiliated with Suge Knight and the Bloods, blah blah blah. But they said they squashed that theory that the police were involved because of these situations. Yeah. Now here's the thing. Yeah, they had to squash that. You know why they had to squash that theory? Because not only if it's like, remember they have a lawsuit looming where they could lose $400 million. That would effectively bankrupt the LAPD. Do you understand? That would effectively bankrupt the LAPD. Let's put that into perspective. Many jobs would be lost, and they wouldn't lose that to a black man, or let alone a black woman that's in, controlling or somewhat controlling her son's estate. Let's make it make sense. They don't want that. They don't want that at all. Now, if the FBI are involved, then clearly they have to know some information, right? Or do they? You know what I mean? Because if you knock on a door and you keep knocking and you keep knocking, eventually someone's going to open the door. Bear that in mind. If they're in. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's go. Okay, so they're trying to say Greg Kading saying the FBI report got it wrong about the ammunition that is rare, and because David Mack had the ammunition that allegedly killed Biggie, and it's like, what's going on? Do you see what I'm saying? How do you now just anyway? Let's go. But how do the FBI get it wrong? They, you see what I'm trying to say? How did they end up getting it wrong? Unless they're getting it wrong on purpose. And the question is why? But it was popular around gangs apparently. Oh well. Okay, and the foreman said Abraham. His name is fucking told yesterday. The name of Amir, Ashmir, Amir, Ashmir or Amir. It's an Arab name. Okay, Amir Muhammad visited someone else. Okay, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about this. I wish you lot could see this, man. It's so unfair. Copyright. Mm, this is interesting. Okay, if you hear any drillings, like there's some UK drill going on, don't mind me. It's just things I can't control. Okay, so okay, okay. So these people are. I listen. Wow. Okay, kind of creep on now. The tide of the field. Are you gonna get informants from prison though? Does that make any sense? Mm. Okay, do you know what's crazy? Yeah, what's the LA Times released a article saying that Amir Mohammed, aka Biddy, sorry Harry Billups, is a suspect in the case. Yeah. Meanwhile, allegedly, he isn't necessarily a suspect because his name is mentioned only because of an informant that was in jail. And one of the informants is known as a psycho. So why are you getting information from a psycho? Does that make any sense? Now, the question then becomes, but what if their theory was actually correct in the first place? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? What if they were actually right? Because the question I have is okay, Amir Mohammed went to visit David Mack. He put his name there. His real, yeah, he put his name there. He put his actual address, and you're telling me each time each visit, he's on, like like Craig Kading's gonna be like that's not a professional, you know, does. But like, who knows what a professional does? Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Who knows? But all I'm gonna say is this: sometimes they're hidden in plain sight. Sometimes they would use people that are, in this case, Ari Billups, that is a mortgage advisor. Do you know what I mean? Who's not gang affiliated, and they could use him because he has no ties. So therefore, with him having no ties, he looks less of a suspect. But then the question now becomes: Why was he visiting David Mack? Who is David Mack to him? No one's answering that. No one's asking that question. Why did David Mack steal 722,000 dollars? No one answered that question. All right, then. No one wants to answer that question. Let's answer it because there has to be a reason. Where was that money going towards? Yeah, any teams have to retract it. Imagine. Like you said, I'm a mortgage broker. Gene Deal, Gene Deal allegedly identified Amir Mohammed, aka Harry Billups, in a picture lineup. Come on, man. He didn't make it until 2001. Okay, because his face was featured in things so many times, um, it makes it very tainted. But that's unfair. That's literally unfair to say. And you know why that's unfair to say? We're gonna go back to that interview, to that documentary, yeah, and we'll go find out. Oh, was it in this documentary? But I'm pretty sure it's in the other one where Gene Dill said this was the first time he's seen that photo. Was you know what I mean? Like it was him, or like he could tell. And I'm not saying Gene Dill lies, but I know there's some cases where he seems to exaggerate on some things because some things he hears things. But if he was there for something, there's one thing I've noticed about Gene Dill. He never changes his story. Never, ever, never. It's always the same. I've heard him say the same thing about Ja Rule in the hotel room, yeah, with Diddy, yeah. Now, it's every time he explains it, he always mentions about the situation and the store in Atlanta and that adult store in Atlanta. Then he moves back into telling the story. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about how Puffy was in that store. He's like, Gene, can I do my shopping on my own? From what he saw, it's like, you know what I'm saying? But and it's the way he tells that story and how, anyway, I won't go too much deep onto it. That's another day for another subject. But let's keep moving. Okay. So apparently Gene Joe was given a poll earlier and he picked someone else, but wasn't me on board. Okay, so David Mack with a green dark Impala. That is a fact. Okay, so maybe people are saying the car was greenish, not black, in regards to the Impala. Give it a description of the vehicle. I don't know. What kind of car was it? Hold on. SS Impala, man. It was Impala. Yes. What color was it? Blue, aqua blue, aqua blue. Yeah, that sounds greenish. Yeah. At night, that's going to sound like it's black. It looks like it's black because you're seeing it from afar. The green car rolled up. This is little C's. Biggie side. And it starts to you in the door. You start to you. You said dark blue. Dark green. I can't tell you the name, but I can tell you it's a dark blue four-door car. I know it's a four-door. There you go. The fact that okay, so David Mack used a different car for his bank robbery. So it does stand for question that he could potentially use another car, but I can say okay, this gets interesting. Keefe D also had a dark color Chevy Impala. There also said DJ Quick had a Chevy Impala. Well, his bodyguard, I think they said was. Suge Knight had one. That car was a very popular car. Let me know in the comments below what popular car is, you know what I mean? Right now in your country, wherever you are from, what was the popular car in 1997? Yeah, or 1996, you know what I mean? Or and now. But let's keep it moving. Anyway, okay, they disproved Rutherford's theory. It's interesting. I wonder why. Because the cars don't match up with the description. Mhm. Okay, this is mad, yeah. This is so mad. So they're trying to say the diversion tactic that cut off Biggie's car or something like that. I can't remember the full context of that. I don't want to rewind it. But they were trying to say, well, Greg Kading is saying that they found out that Bronco car had nothing to do with the incident because also it was half an hour before. But even okay, it's half an hour before. But then he's also saying you have to think about this for a second. He's also saying something so mad and I don't understand this. He's literally saying that you see with the he said the reason why that happened was because he dropped his gun and then he picked it up and he fired it in the air and obviously around that time that's when people you could hear 911 calls saying there was a shooting or whatever or something like there was 911 call or whatever and that's where you can hear all that commotion or something like that. Now, two things could be true. That could be a sign that bang 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 bang, Biggie is on his way. I'm not. Listen, I'm not. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that that was not related. I don't care. I'm not buying it. Yeah, you can disprove the theory of the Russell Paul's theory, which is understandable, but then you have to take into question why did it disprove it if he was not if David Mack didn't use a Chevy Impala or his own Chevy Impala for the the bank robbery. What makes you think he didn't use a different car for the situation involving Biggie? That's the question. Like, why did you not investigate that further, or did you? Anyway, let's keep it moving. Okay, this is don't know what's paused for now. All right, I don't know. All right, might have to do a plan B. Hang on. Yeah, this is not working as much as I thought. So I don't know what just happened. But anyway, huh? It seems that Prime is not working. Try this again. Yeah, it's not working. All right, I'm going to watch on a different device. Give me a second, people. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Yeah, because yeah, it's mad. It's mad. It's mad. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. But yeah, it's either way. What I will say, it's such a scary situation because it's like you never ever know what really, truly went down, and that's the scary thing about it because you don't know if said the guy when the black Bronco got arrested and he turned back to see what was happening, but he got arrested or something like that, and they said he had his gun, blah blah blah. Again, decoy. You never know. I'm not putting it past it. I'm just not putting it past it. I'm just not putting it past it. Hold on. All right. All right. I should have no problems now. Keith D was at the party as well. We'll get into that much later on. Let's go. Mm-hmm. We're gonna read this. So basically, it says in regards to the Black Bronco car, right? It says Detective Cooper ad- admonished Deft, who waived his rights. Deft stated that he was leaving the museum and opened the driver's door of Deft's vehicle registered to Deft's girlfriend. The name being blanked out, and his gun fell onto the ground. Deft said that the gun was jammed, so he pointed it into the air and fired one shot to clear it. He then put the gun into the driver's door. Okay, he fired it. What? Okay, that's a plausible explanation. If it was one shot, then it was one shot. But can he prove it with the gun being jammed? That they clearly they confiscated it, right? Can they prove that? You know what I mean? Can they prove what happened before? Um, Bear with me, people. He then put the gun into the driver's door compartment and drove away from the lock. Dev stated he got the handgun from his uncle, which is blanked out, who died 3 years ago, recording the tape, blah, blah, blah. So that's what it comes from. All right, let's go. Okay. I still think that was a decoy. The way they're explaining it makes sense. But anyway, okay, so G Money, the driver, and they're showing the pictures. Well, voice recording, but they're showing the pictures. Hang on, people. Someone is at the door. Coming, man. I left it. No, no. No, man. Or maybe it's laziness. Babe, I couldn't search for it. How are you? Are you like streaming? Yeah. Sorry. Mhm. Thank you. Hello. Hello. All right, people, we're back. Yeah, so they're showing. Excuse me. So they're shown the audio. No, when they show the audio, they're showing the pictures, and the G Money, one of the drivers, was saying he's seen two different sketches, right? And then so with him seeing two different sketches, he's like, no, that's not him. Caesar said he couldn't even tell you what who was who because at the end of the day he never saw no faces because he ducked down, so he couldn't see. But anyway, so this even Gene Deal said it. This guy that was Muslim, as in dressed like a Nation of Islam. Gene Deal even said that beforehand. So Craig Caden is debunking Craig Caden is debunking Gene Deal's accounts because he's like, Gene Deal can only say what he heard. Again, it's always what Gene Deal heard, but like, it's not just what he heard, it's the fact that he's seen someone looking at the vehicle or standing there looking very suspicious, dressed like the Nation of Islam. That's what I think he says something like that. There's an interview where he mentions it, but he got his own documentary. We'll react to that another time. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Okay, now let's moving on to wait. I don't know if they just jumped from Biggie situation to Tupac situation. Hold on. Let me find that. Okay, so they said moving forward with the investigation, they have five new potential leads on who had involvement with the situation that happened with Biggie and Tupac. The only thing is, Orlando Anderson was pied. It's been like 8 years since. Yeah, this is probably so. That's one thing. Yeah, so this was obviously like years later. Then obviously you got uh they mentioned Trayvon name. Now I need to understand why they mentioned Trayvon name because earlier I did ask where was Trayvon name? Did he not jump? Did he not? Was he not attacking Orlando Anderson either? What's going on? Is the question, and clearly he must have. Then now I mention it. Mm. Of course, Trayvon Lane was cooperating, so they did interview him at one point. Whoa. Wow. So, wait. We're gonna get onto this. I'll talk about it in a minute. Hang on. Okay, so Keith D's friend Corey Edwards was there. Did an interview. Hmm. This is a lot of information. Bear with me, people. Mm. Okay, so where do we even start with this? All right. So there were 5 people that they were looking into in regards to the situation in regards to Tupac and Biggie, right? Now watch this there. Orlando Anderson, can't question him because he's not he's not available to question. Do you know what I mean? It's just impossible because he's unalive. So then you have the situation with there was someone else, forgot who he is, but either way, he ate the charges. He said, "You know what? I have nothing to do with this. Blah blah blah. Get me? I'd rather take my drug, do the drug charge. Cool. Leave me alone. I'd rather do that." And he was on the run for like 5 years or something like that. Then there was another one that was in prison. This is where it becomes very interesting, right? He was in prison, right? I think at Pelican Bay or something like that. And then he basically was telling the story that the Southside Crips did do it, and it was um no, wrong. He didn't say the Southside Crips did it. He said Suge Knight was involved and hired the Southside Crips to kill to the unalive Biggie Smalls. So it's like okay, hmm. But then it found out that he was just giving the story because he wanted to get out of that situation. Now, we fast forward to Keefe D. He was interviewed by the police years ago in regards to Biggie's situation, and he basically saying, "Look, you want the truth? Okay, but you're wasting a lot of taxpayers' money." This is his words, because he's letting people know that wasn't him. But Craig Kading has already mentioned there was $1 million hit, right? But how do you know that? Where did that information come from? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, yeah, we've watched that documentary to do with Sean Collins and the Reckoning, especially episode 2. This is what's leading me to react to these type of situations because I'm thinking there's got to be more to it, and it's so complex that it goes beyond just Diddy. And like I said earlier, you see with Reggie Wright Jr., in fact, no, wrong. It's not been mentioned yet with Reggie Wright Jr., but he was both in Las Vegas, but also in LA. The timing of what happened to Biggie and Tupac. Now, that may be a coincidence, or it might not be a coincidence. Who knows? But anyway, but Keefe D was definitely that thing, though. But again, he was also at Las Vegas and also in LA. So yeah. Okay, so Greg Kading is saying they tried to get Keefe D, but because of situations, he wouldn't open up. So they're like, and the case is federalized. Do you know what I mean? They had to try and find a way. They had to try and find a way. So this is where he uses Keefe D, yeah, and so when I say uses Keefe D, he uses the DEA because they were investigating with narcotics in interstate distribution or something like that, right? So they're basically saying he used that information against Keefe D's drug couriers and used that to be able to make him flip against Keefe D. These people would. There is such poor investigation that is so mad when you deep it. It's such poor investigation because, but then unfortunately, some people do flip on their own people, which is good to a degree when you deep it when it's got something to involve with. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's anyway. I won't go too deep, but either way, if you choose to live that lifestyle, that's on you. Get me? I don't choose to live that lifestyle. I don't want that lifestyle. I don't care for that lifestyle. But anyway, let's go. Okay, so what they did, Jay, this is what's so mad. He eventually did make him flip, right? So I think it's more than what Craig Cater's saying. The reason why I'm saying that because it's never as straightforward as that. It's more of using leverage of what they want. Oh, you want less time on your charge, on your convictions? All right, we give you less time. You understand? We'll give you less time in order for you to cooperate. And for in order for you to cooperate, you now have to give us Keefe D. In order for you to give us Keefe D, you have to do this. You have to set him up. Basically, you have to do this. Basically, that's what they did. They set him up with the drugs and stuff like that with PCP and all that stuff there. They set him up. The operation took months. Took wiretaps, surveillance, to ensure they had an ironclad case. You see, they make sure they do these crimes before they can find a way to convict these people. It's mad. That it see, they make sure that it's so ironclad to the point where they can use that against him to use that over his head. It's manipulative tactics. It's very, very, very manipulative. Very. So they went to Keefe D's house and said, with the evidence, and used that to confront him. That's mad. That's mad. So later that day, they went to downtown LA at the U.S. Attorney's office and in Los Angeles, and yeah, Boom. There you go. I knew I heard correctly. And I knew I watched this years ago. I knew I watched this years ago. And I know what was said. I know what was said. I know what the play, not the play, but like I know what it was. No, yeah, I know what the play was. Because basically, he's saying Keith D is in a situation where he has to give up. He has to come clean about Biggie's situation, not Tupac, Biggie situation. Listen, listen, listen. I need you to understand something very, very, very clearly. He's not talking about Tupac in this situation. No, there's no mention of Tupac. No mention so far. It's only about coming clean about Biggie's situation. This is what Craig Kading saying out his own mouth. His own mouth. So now we go on to the documentary for Sean Combs' The Reckoning, and he's mentioning about just Tupac. Didn't even mention about the whole Biggie situation. And the way it was edited, the voice note, or not the voice note, the proffer agreement, or the voice recording, yes, that was still there, but there was something before it, which is leading up to what we're gonna about to react to. You understand? So it's like it's either you have a hefty life sentence, or you have an even more hefty life sentence if you don't come clean about the whole Biggie situation, which is mad. It's mad. It's a lose-lose situation. So it didn't just stop with Keith D. There were several of his close associates and close family members that got caught up in investigations as well. So for him to cooperate, it wasn't just to save himself; it was to save his family because everyone else was involved, and so was his family in the whole narcotic situation, which is mad. Excuse me. So Keith D agreed to cooperate with the government. One more time now. Keith D agreed to. Hold on. Let me wind that just a tad bit. Keith D agrees to cooperate with the government. Keith D, because this is a serious situation. He agreed to cooperate with the government. That's key information right there. And then it will be a profit session, which nothing he which nothing he says can be used against him. The question is why? 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 Hold on, 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 hold on. Why would you do that? I'm sorry. Why would you do that? Why would you tell someone to cooperate and let them feel like they can't be arrested, they can't be convicted? That's what it looks like. It feels like you won't be convicted, just tell us. That's what that looks like. And that sounds mad to me, especially when you tie in the fact that this investigation was happening around the time, and I could find out the proper timeline, but like it was happening around the time Letta Wallace, Biggie's mom, was literally suing the LA City Council and LAPD for $400 million for their involvement in, you know what I mean, Biggie's unfortunate situation. So then you think about it, there seems to be who benefits more. Why agree with the government like that? Why? Huh? Now it makes you question. You see, with this whole this Keefe D trial is going to be very interesting, and let me tell you why. I'm talking about the one in 2026. This is going to be mad, 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 mad interesting, because if he could say that Greg Kading put him under pressure to, you know what I mean? He got set up to make an agreement to talk about his involvement with Biggie, but confirming he was not involved in the Biggie situation, but did have some sort of knowledge in regards to Tupac's situation. Can't Greg Kading also get arrested for things of that nature? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just other question. That's what. Yeah. So the next meeting, he had to. So he needs to know everything about the M of Biggie Smalls. Okay, so he's detailing that uh Puffy, aka Diddy, invited him to the Vibe magazine party at the Petersons. Okay, yeah, Corey Edwards. That's the other one that was also arrested, and he said, "Uh, I'm not involved." Yeah, so that sounds very good. All right, so this is Corey Edwards, the speaker said, and I said, "Who was that?" And I heard Keith D, and when went at was at the party. Keith D. Okay, hold on. So Keith D says, while at the party, he approached Puffy at Biggest table, and then this is now them interview the police interview in what's in '97, and he said, "Do you know who Puffy Combs is?" Was Yeah, I don't know who Puffy Combs is. Yeah, I've seen both of them play. Did you talk to those C's? What do you guys talk about? You met before, right? So this is in the interview. So I'm just reading it bit by bit. He said, "It's just said, how you doing?" Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I wonder which security that was that. Was that Jing Dill? Was that who? Which security was that? The security basically, Keefe Lee was basically going out to be, and Keefe Lee was warned off by Biggie security, and Biggie told the security in reference to told the security in reference to Keefe D, he's cool. I know him specifically. Cool. Okay, your little C's now. Police interview. Did he approach you, big? Yeah. Did, uh-huh. You didn't talk of him. Said, "What's up?" to Big though. You walked over there with me, and then what was Big response? I said, "What's up?" In my can. What's up? Okay, it was Eugene Dill. So Puffy bodyguard Eugene Dill. Okay, this is where we're going to end out here. I'm going to get into it a lot deeper because I'm telling you, there's a lot of information to break down. Um, like I said, I know this is in parts, but it's just so you can understand how deep the rabbit really does go. You understand? It goes deep. The deeper you go, hey yo, there ain't no magic tricks. You get me? Tricks aren't just for kids. You know what I'm saying? It's just mad when you deep everything in relation to this whole Biggie situation. Yeah, it's like I don't have to explain it. It's so mad when you deep. So much story to tell. So much story to tell. In fact, you know what? Bear with me. I feel like this has gone. But yeah, so to cut a long story short, from my observation from this whole from part two, right? From part two. Hang on, just okay. Give me a second, people. Something mad. All right, so yeah, so from my observation for part two, Biggie, it if I was to summarize this, it looked like they were investigating two, but clearly the whole basis is exactly how it started with part one, where I had to mention that it was I had to mention a few things. You know what I mean? I had to mention that uh, Biggie's mom was suing the LAPD and the LA City Council for $400 million. The lawsuit obviously got dismissed, but why did it get dismissed? It's because of the investigation that was happening. So you have to look at so many angles. Then you have to understand, okay, it got dismissed, but because of the investigation. But then if you look at what happened with Biggie, if you look at the situation where now Greg Kading is now interviewing what's his name, Keefe D, at the U.S. Attorney's Office. Okay, in downtown LA. Okay, so what about the next day? Oh, is that Keefe D's attorney's office? Why not in a police station? So who signed off on the proffer agreement? So we're going to get into that another day, or tomorrow, if possible, because you have to understand every piece of detail. Because a proffer agreement, what does that mean? Can he be convicted for those crimes? That's what I want to know. Can he be convicted? Yes or no? I mean, clearly now he's been arrested. He's in custody. He's waiting trial. I mean, it's been delayed about 2 or 3 times or whatever the case is. But Diddy's name is brought up 77 times. But now you have to ask the question: is what's really going on? What is the real truth? Because it really is that saying: if you solve one case, you solve the other. If you solve Biggie's case, you solve Tupac's case. If you solve Tupac's case, you solve Biggie's case. The question is, why is it unresolved? Why does it always seem like it's unresolved when it's so easy? Not easy to resolve, but if you ask the right questions, I'm sure it's more or less going to be easier to resolve. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure you hit the like button, turn on your post notifications, and all that stuff there. Yeah, man, I appreciate everyone watching, and I thank you for watching. But yeah, man, make sure you share. And make sure you go to the link in the description box below, in the pinned comment, should I say, and purchase your book. And you can find out a lot more to do with this investigation. Yeah, but yeah.